All right, so we are going to go over the general education patterns, and on the Transfer Center website, you can go under the transfer process to general education to find each of the sheets. So we have the CSU GE pattern option B, the IGETC pattern that can be used for both the UC or CSU, as well as some out-of-state or California privates. That's option C. And IGETC for STEM is only used for the biology AST major, okay? So this is not something that you are going to be following unless you're getting the biology associate degree for transfer. So let's go ahead and pull up option B here and go over this. So the GE sheet changes every year. So this is the one for 23-24. You follow the GE sheet for the catalog year that you came in. So if you came in 2020, you started at SRJC in 2020, you have the right to follow that GE pattern. You don't have to follow the 23-24 pattern. And if you choose to, that's fine. And what the evaluators at SRJC do when you apply for a degree is they do what's best for the student. So if the 23-24 pattern makes more sense, then they go with that one, okay? But they don't do something that makes you do more work. So for Area A, this is 9 units, and you have to have Comms 1 or 4 completed. You need English 1A or ESL 10, and you need a critical thinking class. And so that can be within communications, it can be an English class, or a philosophy class. You get to choose. These courses in Area A have to be done. They're admissions criteria. And you have to have a C or better in these classes. You can't have a D in Area A. You can have 9 units of Ds on the CSU GE pattern, but no more than that. And it can't be in Area A or B for your math. Area B is your scientific inquiry and quantitative reasoning, also 9 units. You need 1 physical science class, and you need 1 life science. And one of those needs to have a lab, okay? And so you have 2 choices on how to do the lab. You could take AGRA 60, that has an asterisk here, and the asterisk means that the lab is part of the class. So when you sign up for AG 60, you're signing up for the lecture and the lab together. Maybe AG 60 doesn't interest you. Maybe astronomy interests you. So you could sign up for Astronomy 3 or Astronomy 4. For either one of those, you could sign up for the lab that corresponds with that class. So that's a separate 1-unit class. So 3 units for Astronomy 3, 1 unit for Astronomy 3L, and it goes the entire semester. Or you could look at Astronomy 12, which is also a lab that can go with Astronomy 3 or 4. And it's a shorter class. I think it's a total of like 8 or 9 class meetings. Some up at Lake Sonoma, or if it's in the summer, they go to the Sierra Nevadas. So that's the only discipline that has something like that has like a separate class that goes with multiple courses. Now, if you're a bio major, you're going to be taking all of these bio classes that have a lab. So that's already built in as part of your major prep, okay? So again, that's the benefit of meeting with a counselor to plan all that out so that you're not taking things that you don't necessarily need. B4 is your math, and math is determined by your major. So if your major tells you that you need to do a specific math, then that's what you're going to do. Let's go with that bio major. Most bio majors have to take calculus. And so the math 1A, 1B is what is already on the GE sheet. And so you'll be taking those for your major. And so you're meeting that requirement with your major. If you're like an art major that doesn't care what math you take, then you just need to complete one of these math classes. Psych 9 is a statistics class that's taught in the psychology department. And it counts as a math class. So a lot of students like that because it's outside of the math department. It's outside of the math discipline. It comes at it from a different point of view. Area C is also 9 units. So for here, you need 1 arts and 1 humanities, and the third can come from either choice or either section, okay? And so Again, if you're an art major, maybe you have to do some art history, maybe you have to do drawing. So you're going to build that into your ed plan. And that's going to take care of C1 and C3, and then you're going to come down to C2 and pick a class. Let's say you did Spanish AP test in high school. You're going to get Spanish AP credit in the humanities, so you're done, okay? Area D is 6 units, and this changed in fall of 2022. So if you started attending prior to that, then you have the rights back to do 9 units in Area D, and you don't have to do ethnic studies, okay? So for the purposes of this, let's just pretend that all of you started in fall of 23. You're going to do 6 units in Area D and 3 units in Area F. So it's still 9 units. That didn't change. They just added the ethnic studies. So if your catalog rights go back, let's have a conversation about that, because maybe you're not going to do this, okay? And then Area E is lifelong learning and self-development, and you need 1 class in there. This section is not part of general education, but we put it on here because if you take a U.S. history and a government class, or either one, it will count for the graduation requirement at a CSU of a U.S. history and a government. Those classes are up in Area D, and so we double count them. So here's the histories, here's the poli-sci, okay? And so if you take that, it meets Area D and it meets the CSU graduation requirement. And so if you want to see older versions of general education, then you can go to articulation.santarosa.edu. Let me pull this up a little bit so you can see it. So that's what it looks like, okay? And then you can go into the GE sheets that Kate has by going into for students and counselors. And then you go to the bottom. No, you don't. Then you go to the top, click on general education, and you can see previous versions. So if you started in 2021, here's the CSU, here's the IGETC. So let's go back and look at that. So you can see on here that Area D was 9 units and there was no Area F, okay? All right, let's now talk about IGETC, option C. So if you're not certain where you're going, I would work off of IGETC. You should work off of IGETC, okay? Because this is going to be the most broad. It's going to be the most broad as far as the number of schools that are going to accept it. And it's the most strict. So especially if you're looking at out-of-state campuses or California privates, the courses on here are more likely to transfer. So this sheet is not that far different from the last sheet. You've got Area 1, which is your English and critical thinking. Again, not as many choices here because the UC is pickier. And so they require a certain number of words that are written per semester. And the other 2 classes that were on here, for CSU GE, you had Comms 3 and Philosophy 3. Those don't meet that writing requirement. And so IGETC doesn't allow them, okay? And then this oral communication is only required for CSUs. Then you have your math again. You have your arts and your humanities, same thing. 1 arts, 1 humanities, and the 3rd from either section. You've got Area 4, which is 6 units. You have Area 5, which is your sciences. So you've got physical science, biological science, and your lab. The UC requires that students have a language other than English, so that can be met by taking a class at SRJC. It can be met if you did 2 years of high school coursework in 1 language other than English, where your final term grade was a C- or better. It can be that you took an AP test. It can be that you did IB. It can be that you did 2 years of formal schooling at the 6th grade level or higher, where the language of instruction was not English. So lots of options in here, okay? Then the ethnic studies to IGETC was just added this semester, so fall of 2023. So if you were here last year, you don't have to do ethnic studies for IGETC. You maintain those catalog rights, okay? And so you would do 9 units up in social and behavioral sciences and would not be required to do ethnic studies. The CSU graduation requirement is still on here, okay? So again, but just for the CSU, not for the UC. And then the second page, I didn't show you this on the CSU, but the second page has some notes about different schools and different majors, like here it's talking about the College of Letters and Sciences at Berkeley. It talks about, I think, engineering doesn't require IGETC. It's not appropriate. They don't want it. Haas does not accept IGETC. That's the School of Business. So there's some important notes on here as well. Okay, so that just goes over the various GE sheet options for you. You will have an assignment around this. Please watch the video to know what the instructions are. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, have a great day.